Hey, welcome to the Because Business is Personal podcast, the podcast where empathy meets marketing strategy. I'm your host, Mike Caldwell, but I'm also known as the Marketing Medic. Now, the reason for that is because before becoming a marketing strategist, I actually worked as a paramedic for 12 years. And it was during that time that I realized how important it was to truly understand the problems your patient was facing before you started providing treatment. And it's this same understanding, this same empathy is just as crucial when it comes to understanding our prospects and making sales. And that's why in each episode, we'll dissect the art of empathic marketing, exploring how top professionals infuse empathy into their strategies to build stronger relationships, boost their sales, and make a lasting impact. So buckle up and prepare to turn up the dial on your marketing effectiveness. As we gear up to dive deeper into the realm of empathic marketing, I'd like to share a couple of special offers with you. First, you can get a free copy of my international best-selling book, Empathic Marketing. You only need to cover the cost of shipping. Reading this will provide you with a much more in-depth understanding of the empathy-based marketing approach that we explore in this show. Next, I'm offering a 50% discount on a transformative 30-minute gap analysis session with me. During the session, we'll identify the hurdles in your marketing efforts, and together we'll develop an actionable roadmap aimed at winning you more clients and making you more sales. Just visit my website, www.becausebusinessispersonal.com to grab your book, or use coupon code PODCAST to take advantage of my gap analysis offer. So why wait? Let's start turbocharging your marketing strategy today. Now, let's get started with our episode. Hey everybody, Mike Caldwell, the Marketing Medic, and today I have with me Curt Maly of Black Box Social Media. Curt's got a pretty cool backstory in that he was actually banned from Facebook for quite some time, and that's his business. So Curt's got a lot of insight into Facebook, a lot of insight into copywriting and messaging, and I'm just looking forward to learning from Curt and what he has to say today. Welcome, Curt.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So the first thing we like to do on the show is to lighten the load a little bit and start with a joke. And so what do you got for us? You got any zingers?
Do you know what happens when you fart in church?
I do not know.
You have to sit in your own pew.
Very good. So I told this joke a couple days ago, so the listeners have heard it, but you haven't heard it. And so I'm going to tell it because it's along those same lines. What is brown and sticky? A stick. It's not what you're thinking,
dad jokes.
So here's a dad joke that I got from you. What does a baby computer call his father? And I this one's for you because I know you're a new dad and you like computers. Data.
Yep, another dad joke. Another dad joke.
All right. So now that we've got those bad jokes out of the way, so I'm all about empathic marketing, getting to understand people and like human connections and the personal side of things. So what's something personal that you would like to share about your life that would be of interest to our listeners?
I'm 45 years old and just had my first kid. So,
wow.
That's pretty interesting. I thought I was just pretty selfish already. And then one of those little things came along and I'm like, oh, can't do that anymore. I guess got to make better decisions with my life. So that's all pretty interesting. I mean, I love marketing and I love working all the time. So I work a lot, but now with a, little one, I just spend a lot of time with her versus just kind of trying to figure out how to make more money. So I don't really, I like at the end of the day, I guess, like I don't really care about driving a Ferrari. Like money's cool and all. I really love experiences more than anything else. So I'm more about experiences versus nice fancy things for the most part. Like I've lived in some fancy places, but I just really like good people and good experiences more than material stuff.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Like I think I live on like 164 wooded acres. My closest neighbor's a mile away, and I drive my ATV way more than I drive my truck.
That sounds like fun. Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I'm well, so we were watching, my wife and I were watching some one of the guilty pleasure realty shows on Netflix, Sunset whatever. and they showed like, I think it was a $22 million home on the hills of California. I said, wow, that's a really nice place, but I'd rather live here.
I'll never forget. It was kind of impactful. I remember reading the story that basically Better Homes and Gardens used to give away these big old houses, like once a year, big old giveaway. And they gave away this huge house to this family. I think they had 3 kids. And basically just kind of imagine the house. It's out at the lake, and you have a balcony porch that you can walk in. You can fish right off the porch. Can you hear me okay, or did it drop out?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, good. And basically, what they had is, like I said, you could fish off the porch. The house was so big that inside in the living room, I think, was like 3 stories or something like that, with a big old chandelier. And then each of the kids had their own rooms, which were almost like lofts that would kind of like split off. So this huge house and all these different rooms and just so much space. And they basically asked the dad like 2 years later, like, "Hey, what do you think?" And he's like, "I hate this place. Hate it." Like, well, what do you mean? Well, the only time we see each other is because everyone has their own room, is when we're in the living room. When we're in the living room, it's almost dark as a cave because of the three-story ceilings. We have to get special ladders in here to change the light bulbs in the first place. Never see my family. The place is really expensive to keep up. And again, we're just kind of in this big house, and we just all clutter in a really small area. We don't really need that much. We just need each other. And this house does not provide that. So we'd love to get rid of it. And I'm like, man, what a great perspective. Right?
Yeah,
Just like you have everything that you want, and you're like, no, I just want to hang out with my family, so let's go do that somewhere else.
yeah,
So,
yeah. For me, it's about the dogs, right? I rescue dogs, and
oh yeah.
yeah, and so it's like, yeah, you got this $20 million home. Where do you walk your dogs? And like with my woods here, I don't go out with little plastic bags.
That's not how nature works.
Like, does a dog shit in the woods?
Yeah,
Shit in
absolutely.
my
You just
woods.
leave it there.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, great house. Where would I walk the dog? So yeah, sorry, I would have bought it, but yeah, I'll just stay here.
Totally
All right, well,
understand.
let's dive into some marketing news. So I think the big thing for you. So okay, first tell us how you serve clients. Like, what problem do you solve, and then we'll get into what you're doing that's like pretty brand new within the last few months.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I've been running ads for 15, 16 years at this point, maybe even 17 if I kind of count on my fingers right. And essentially, we've run a lot of Facebook ads. Now, I work with my younger brother. I have my own ad agency, which is a digital agency. My brother really has more of a traditional agency with like employees, billboards, radio, TV, stuff like that. We joined forces about 5 years ago. And essentially, what ends up happening, my brother has been doing traditional marketing for, I think it's almost 20 years at this point. I just take a lot of that same kind of traditional marketing practice and methods. We apply the same thing online. So we won a bunch of awards over this. I got this here. I'm going to step away from the camera for just a second. I got this big old championship belt I've carried all over the world that has been awarded to me by my peers. And essentially, what the whole thing is we apply traditional methods, which is building a relationship and multiple contact points. We just do that online, which people like David Ogilvy had done for many years, made his clients billions of dollars. Eugene Schwartz, same thing, just using those principles online. So at the end of the day, we are much better at building a relationship with people through content. We're just not the best at, I'd love to, you make a lot of money out of it, just that direct response, right? That headline that gets people to click, that long form sales page that gets people to buy right away. We can do it. We're just not the best at it. We're really good at building relationships. And I think, which is an important point here, when the big iOS hit and all of a sudden people had problems with tracking on Facebook and stuff like that, those are all the direct response people that literally were just sending a whole bunch of clicks. They weren't building a brand. All of a sudden that tracking went away. And all of a sudden they're just like, oh my goodness, everything broke. For us, when iOS and that big update happened, we didn't really see that much of a fluctuation in performance. And people are like, why? And it's like, well, we already built a relationship with people. So we're really on the relationship side of things, multiple contact points, lots of content. And that's really where we see our most conversions come from.
Very cool. Yeah, we're certainly on the same page there. Because I'm all about the human connection. That's empathic marketing, is getting to understand your audience, and something that I know but I've contextualized it a different way. So now I say you have to have 2 different levels of understanding of your audience. First is experiential, and the second is emotional. And so when I'm talking about experiential, I'm talking about level of awareness and level of sophistication. So that's what they've experienced. That's the journey they're on. And then the emotional side is what I call the 4 Ds of transformation delivery. So you've got the short-term difficulties and desires, and the long-term dreads and dreams. And
That's
then when
great.
you tie all that in together, that's where you get the messaging.
That's
And
good.
another thing I've always said is that like so many people online today, they want to make money with their funnel, or
Hmm.
their funnel's not working, so it's their ads, right? And the funnel and the ads, they're just vehicles, right, for the message. So do you want to speak to that a little bit?
It's funny. I just did a presentation on this literally just the other day. So 3 years ago, I won, I won this belt, and I basically told everybody, and I'm like, look, here's the way the whole strategy works. You want to build a relationship with people. You want to have multiple contact points, and it's just not about one click and one funnel. And that's how I got kind of voted for the award. Now, a lot of people in the room disagreed with me. They're like, hey, we do really well with direct response. Well, it's interesting. I was coming up with a presentation to talk about AI for yesterday. I ran across this Harvard Business Review article from this gentleman who wrote this article. I can't remember he's written 4 or 5 other national best-selling books, and he's basically said, I call him Cousin Frank because it's pretty amazing. He basically comes out and says a lot of people are just always they're always focused on the funnel approach, right? Like the ADA format. What is it? Agitate, desire, action, right? Agitate, desire. Yeah, I get that right? ADA.
Yeah, I think so.
There's
Yeah,
200.
that's one of the
Yeah,
Jarvis
yeah.
scripts. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is he basically says through all of his other research that a lot of people just really try to do this whole forced funnel approach, which means they treat everyone on one single path. And really what studies actually find is no, there's a whole discovery process where people think that they know what their problem is. Then they kind of discover that they do have a problem. And then from there, they're going to start evaluating with lots of different people. I mean, same thing I'm sure that you've done, lots of other people have done. Hey, I want to buy some. I'm going to go to Google. You start doing that research. From doing that research, they're going to find people that they find are reputable, meaning like I'm sure you've seen this too. There's a lot of affiliate offers with some really cheesy, kind of like weight loss supplement stuff like that. It's all direct response. As soon as traffic turns off or their merchant accounts get shut down, the entire business is shut down. But what I like to say, what Cousin Frank says from the Harvard Business Review, is basically people are no longer buying in this linear format. They're really buying based off relationships, based off exactly what you said, overall experiences, demos, and then once they make the purchase, that's not the final purchase, meaning, yeah, they may purchase again, but now the entire evaluation process starts at that purchase, meaning, do I like this? Do I like the company? Do I like the customer service? So if you're just treating it like a straight up funnel and customer service has their own thing after that, completely wrong. The data shows it. You have to build relationships. You really have to build, this used to be a dirty word. You really have to build the brand if you want long-term success. Otherwise, literally, your Facebook account can get shut down. Your merchant account can get shut down. Now your business is shut down and you're done because otherwise no one's heard of you besides just direct response clicks. So it's my 2 cents.
That's more than two. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's sort of my thing with empathic marketing is that the human connection is being lost to such a big degree. And I think just the walls that the internet did and the social media, like there was a divide there. And then coronavirus came along, and that, like, not getting political on whether the social distancing was right or wrong, but it was right. It happened, and that just created an even bigger divide. And now with so many people just looking for the quick buck and the shortcut, it's just so easy to, especially now. I like to talk to you because you're becoming an expert in AI these days, and you're at the forefront for sure. And it's just so easy just to plug everything into the robots because that's what I just want to sit on the couch right over there, watch TV, and let the robots make money for me,
Or you
right?
soon will, right? It's going to be like, what's that movie, Wall-E, where we're all fat riding around in these like little air chairs. We don't have to do anything, automatically fed. All of our entertainment's just right here. We're
Well,
close.
we can't all do that though, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
We can't all
interesting. I saw,
succeed at it.
where did I see this from? I can't remember who I saw. They were talking about the economy, and they're like, the problem with a lot of schools today is they want you to succeed to be your higher self, which is totally fine. But then who's the landscapers? Who's the people who pump gas? Who works at a gas station? It's okay to have different dreams and desires. You don't have to be the best of the best. Because if everyone was the best of their best, there's a lot of services that we wouldn't have anymore. And I'm just kind of like, that's interesting to think about, but you are absolutely true, right? If everyone lived to their full potential, we'd kind of be screwed. Like who would service at restaurants? Like who would be right? Who would be helping us at the gas station? So I
Well,
love people.
there are a couple of restaurants now that do have robot servers. I can't remember which ones they were, but yeah, the
Burger
robot
King.
servers.
I was talking to a friend of mine. He has a $30 million a year weed business. It's now 15 million a year. He has the same staff, so he's having to get rid of a lot of staff. And that business, the technology has changed so much where they used to have people who would like, trim and cut buds and stuff like that. Now there's technology that all those people are gone. You just don't need that anymore. And like I was talking to him today, and I'm like, we have a Burger King here in Austin. There's like a manager and a general manager. You pull in, you order your food. If the food is made by computers and everything else, it comes on out. If there's some kind of problem with the conveyor belt, whatever, you have a manager there. But other than that, all those people who are like, I've been working for McDonald's for 30 years, they're going to be dedicated to me. No, they're not. As soon as they can, they get rid of you, and you got to figure out something else to do, which in my opinion, I think this is a huge opportunity with AI. I think some people will get replaced where they're really lazy. But it's kind of like the horse and buggy and car, right? Cars are going to run over all the horses. What are we going to do with all the horses? And the horses just disappear. We're like, oh, we just did something else. So I think there's a big opportunity here with the AI, in my opinion.
Okay, so as a business owner, I'm trying to think of what sort of, well, you pick a niche. What would, how would you incorporate AI and keep that human connection?
Name any business. At the end of the day, what I really see more than anything else in my opinion, over the last 15 years doing this, like your competitive advantage is your consistency, not necessarily your great copy, right? It's kind of like a singer who comes out and they sing a really great hit song, and then they just don't do anything for a couple of years and they just kind of disappear in obscurity. So consistently, if you're posting on a regular basis, that can be great. If you're consistently messaging with your customers, that's great. So if AI can help you produce content where you are engaging with your customers on a regular basis, you can absolutely add your persona into AI. You can write it around your voice. There's lots of things that you can do with AI to enhance your consistency, to make it happen on a consistent basis. And that, in my opinion, can be applied to any type of business, short and long term, still have that human personal connection. It's at the end of the day, it's idea generation. It's analyzing stuff that's already there, discovering new stuff that's previously been undiscovered for you. And I think it's a way that you can share with other humans. It just automates the thought process, not necessarily human touch, in my opinion.
Gonna have to digest that a little bit. That's pretty deep.
Every once in a while. And by the way, I'll have to show you an app when we get done with this. If you were to upload this to YouTube, right, for example, the app literally, so this is going to apply to any business. You do an interview like this, you upload it to YouTube, you take the YouTube link, you throw it over to this other free website. So there's tons of AI free websites out there, and it will find the highlights of our discussion. It will find when we start discussions, it will find a good 1 minute clip. It will clip it for the minute. It'll focus directly on my face or directly on your face. It'll add the subtitles into it, and it'll add the emojis into it as well. And the whole process takes 3 to 5 minutes, and it's free. Like, how could any business not use that, right? We record content once, now we can reposition in all these different ways. And like, lots of people may watch your YouTube channel, but unless you cut up those videos and put them on TikTok or Twitter and all these other places, you can have a better human connection because you can be more consistent with your content versus, hey, I only have time to just do one thing because I don't have the money or time to hire other people, work with other people. Now that's becoming, I don't want to say a thing in the past, but like, people are going to have to be creative. People are going to succeed in this. People who have to follow very specific orders, it's going to be very scary, in my opinion, coming up in the future.
Okay. So what AI tool shocks and amazes you the most right now?
Me personally is probably I really like Chat GBT. I really do. The way I like to explain this to people is I didn't even know this until like 6 months ago. GBT's been around for a long time. It's been the backbone for years that other people have basically just used it. And I have some friends of mine that have used it. We talked about Jasper.ai. They've been using the GBT for a couple of years. Well, then what was it, 8 months ago? Chat GBT comes out, Chat.GBT. The chat interface, all of a sudden people are like, oh my goodness, I can use this. This is great. But it's kind of like the old IBM computers. And then it's like when people got their hands on DOS, they're like, oh, I can play with this a little bit. So right now, in my opinion, Chat GBT and the chat functionality is a lot like DOS. And what I mean by that is like, it's almost kind of like coding. So I just recently celebrated my 45th birthday. Somebody asked me, hey, what'd you learn at 45? And I'm like, well, at 25, I knew everything because I could do anything. At 35, wasn't really quite sure. At 45, man, I don't know what the fuck's going on, honestly. Like, I'm trying the best that I can. But what I do know is if I ask better questions, I always receive better things, period. If I ask better questions when I'm, talking to a service member, when I'm talking to an employee, a friend, if I'm asking better questions, I will get better results. That is exactly what Chat GBT is. So what happens is Chat GBT is like DOS. I have to learn how to ask better questions. So it's like
Yes.
somebody said, well, do you think AI is going to take over for a bunch of copywriters? And I'm like, and I saw this on Facebook. It's so good. And the meme response back was, now customers are going to have to tell us exactly what they want. So if you've ever built a website for a customer, I got out of that business 14 years ago for this very specific reason. Hey, how would you like your website? I would like it manly. Okay, what does that mean to you? Can we make it pop more, shimmer a little bit? I have no idea what you're saying. So those jobs are 100% completely safe, right? Now, what I'm seeing is I like to play with Chat GBT, but there is software out there like Jasper that takes that DOS and kind of turns it to Windows. So it makes it really easy that people can just push some buttons. So I like the rawness of Chat GBT, but right now there are so many tech companies out there pushing AI systems that literally have been built in these really great ways. Some of them are a little bit buggy, but a lot of people are giving stuff away for free or $10 or $15 a month just to get a huge user base in this AI play right now. So there's lots of free tools out there, lots of these like Windows types of tools where you can hit buttons to make Chat GBT do stuff. I just like the foundation of things I'm able. Let me give you a perfect example. So we did an AI workshop where it was supposed to be a 4-hour webinar yesterday. We did a 6-hour webinar. And I figured if we're going to do a 6-hour webinar, why would we not do an upsell? So we decided, like all entrepreneurs, at 6:30 in the morning, and the thing starts at noon, that we were just going to go ahead and make an offer, but we didn't have time to make a sales page. So what I did is, Ian Stanley is a good friend of mine. He's also a great copywriter. He likes to use Google Docs. So he wrote this sales letter in Google Docs, and all I did is I took Chat GBT and I copied the entire thing, and I said, can you break down the sales letter on the persuasion aspects of why does this work? What are some of the things that's being used in the sales letter that can help convert people? So what Chat GBT does is it lists out, it was like 15 different things. Here are the different formulas that were used. Here are the 15 different things that was used. So basically I said, analyze this copy. It provides me with the structure of the copy. And then I say, great, I'm now going to write my own offer. Here's what the offer is. It's going to be this discount. We're going to get these bonuses. We're going to do this. Ask me any clarifying questions before you rewrite this entire page that you analyzed. Now in Frank Kern style writing with Alex Hormozi's voice, because our audience follow Alex Hormozi, right? In his tone, it asked me 5 or 6 clarifying questions. I hit a button and it wrote me. It was a 2,500 word sales letter. My business partner copied. Oh, sorry. I told Chat GBT that we were going to do this inside of. Hang on one second. Sorry about that. So I posted this into Chat GBT, asked for any clarifying questions, and I did say, hey, by the way, I'm going to put this in a Google Doc. Please give me GIF images that make this a copy even more compelling. Gave us all the ideas. My business partner edited a little bit, copy, paste, put it in the Google Doc, made 3 or 4 sales late yesterday, early in the day, $3,000 a piece. So like, maybe it took me 30 minutes to put together. Sent it to my business partner. He spent 15 minutes, but otherwise we were going to build a sales page and tracking. And like the biggest thing I can tell you, Mike, is for me is I kind of understand copy, sort of. But now that I can see how it's broke down and other people use it, it's blowing my mind. I'm learning so much. And man, I even use this to do slow cooker meals. Like Chat GBT just changed my life with it. It's been really great.
Yeah, we live in the woods, and wild garlic has a very short window. And anyway, I posted a thing on my Facebook page about, I got wild garlic, and one guy's like, oh yeah, we made some wild garlic pesto. It's amazing. So I went to chat and I said, well, give me a good wild garlic pesto recipe.
Oh, that's good.
It just popped up, and I sent it to Monique, my wife, and she made it, and it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things, and again, it's just like you just don't know what to ask sometimes.
Yes.
ChatGPT, perfect example. My girlfriend came home with a book that was about that thick. She wants to do the Whole30, right? She's like, hey, let's get on some natural food and do some Whole30. Great. So she gets this book. And now she's like, well, I got to read this, and I got to figure out what ingredients that I need, and I got to figure out the recipes, and I got to figure out the shopping list, and I got to figure out which. This could take forever. So it's a known book. It's been out for a while. So I went to, and this is scary for content creators. It's good and bad. But I go to Chat GBT and I go, you familiar with the whole 30-day plan? Yes, I am. Great. Here's the type of foods that we like. Can you please produce me 20 recipe or 20 menu items that we could find in the whole 30 that I can pick from? And it listed out 20. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and choose the 7 so we can get a week meals at supper, right? Here are the 7 things that I want to do. Can you please make me a shopping list of all the ingredients, organize it by sections, the typical store sections, to make shopping a lot easier. And please produce me, I don't even need the recipes yet, right? Just produce me the food names. So what it does is it prints out an entire shopping list. And then anytime my girlfriend's like, hey, what should we have tonight? I literally go to Chat GBT, select one of the 15, copy, paste, puts me out the recipe. So I appreciate you brought the book, but we have physically never opened the book because she showed it to me and I'm like, nope. Here's how we're going to do that.
So
Right?
the dark, I don't know if it's the dark side of chat though, because you and I seem to be as geeky about this thing as one another. Because I love it. I just do everything with it now. But 2 things. So I have a lawyer client, and I introduced him to it, and he's actually replaced one of his junior partners or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but
Do you know you can?
I don't know, because they do a lot of research and they just do a lot of like busy work, and now Chat's just doing it. But he's like, Chat has created some laws in British Columbia that don't exist. Like, it just made it up. And that's one of the things about Chat, is like it researches the internet. So if somebody's writing some fictional law story that accounts for like BC law 36-4, yeah. So Harold, my client's like, yeah. So I looked it up, and yeah, that law doesn't exist. And so you have to have you have to know what you're talking about to some degree for a lot of things, right?
Well, now here's the interesting thing, right? So we're talking about Chat GBT. So one, there is absolutely a plugin right now. There is a case precedent. I think it was set 3 or 4 months ago, where somebody took the AI to court, and they didn't like disclose who it was, but they took the AI to court. So whenever the judge would speak or whenever the prosecutor would speak, it would all be taken in through Chat GBT and then reworded. And basically there was an earphone that was fed into the person who was the defense. He had his own defense. Chat GBT gave him his own defense, got him out of it. So there is actually software right now that can help argue legal arguments for you directly through chat. Wow. So here's the interesting thing. So Chat GBT, for those of you who don't know, it's essentially like a computer programming language, right? It forms all this other data and languages together. Well, just like we have language, like let's just say the English language, we have our own culture around that, stuff like that. There's other computer languages that also have their own culture. They can do like different videos, or they can do videos, they can do pictures, lots of different stuff. Well, Jasper.ai uses 5 of those AI technologies. So now if you kind of think about it, one of the things that's really opened my eyes in a video I saw about this is ChatGPT is just one language. The problem is before, like on the interwebs, we have all these different pages to kind of sort from. Like you said, you don't really know what's good. You don't really know what's bad. ChatGPT is actually starting to combine all of that stuff. So instead of having separate languages, separate pages, it's all one language. So it's starting to learn. Now what's happening is when you have these multiple languages that really combine together, that's where all the facts checks, everything else. So it's getting better and better and better. So it's not like just chat has one area that's like, hey, you got to be really careful because this law doesn't exist. There's 100 million users that joined Chat GBT in the first 10 days. So with all of us putting in this information and correcting it anyway, and multiple language models talking together, this is where we see the universe being able to talk to one another. And we're going to start to see some amazing things happen, because before everything was just single silos and they just all had their own communication devices. Now you're able to do research like, perfect example, generals. They can basically say, hey, if we were going to go to war with Japan, they just ran this war test. Hey, if we're going to go to war with Japan, what would that look like? ChatGPT goes out there, or the AI figures out how many planes they actually have, what the ground troops look like, what they've done in the past. It's all the knowledge that it knows about this. And then it comes back to the general and says, here's your 4 options. What would you like to do? Right? Crazy. It used to take weeks and intelligence and stuff like that. And now it's literally, you hit a button. Now you have to have a human that says, I'm going to make this decision. But now think about this. Now we're talking about politics. I'm going to put this into AI and see what happens. As a human, we're going to vote in for politics. But a lot of the research, putting the pages, I guarantee those Senate bills that are just piles high, guarantee that's going to be written by AI in a very short amount of time because no one reads through that crap. But they become laws.
Yeah, yeah. I know Frank Kern's big on the course creation with AI, and I
Yeah.
brought in a book client. So she's an amazing woman. She rode her motorcycle basically around the world. She was a stressed out executive before she went on the trip. Anyway, while she was away, she applied the 12 universal laws, like the law of attraction, law of vibration, frequency, and all this stuff, and a Hawaiian spirituality thing called La Hopa. I never say it right, La Ho'oponopono or something.
I know the
Anyway,
words like this long. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. And so it was these two things. And so she wrote the book and she wanted to monetize it and she didn't know how. So I'm like, there's so many stressed out women like you that can't ride their motorcycle around the world. They don't have a motorcycle.
Yeah,
But you can teach them like the 12 laws in the spirituality thing. Like,
absolutely.
okay, how do I do that? I was like, well, and we know you can do we could do a course or you could do one-on-one coaching. It's like, okay. And she has a general understanding of the 12 laws and that spirituality. So I'm like, let me see if I can come up with something for you.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so this course I created for her, and it takes me about a half an hour a day, half an hour per section. So there's
Yeah.
14
Yeah.
sections. It takes me about half an hour. But you have to ask the right questions. This is the thing, right? Because if I just ask Chat to come up with 12 describe the 12 laws, teach a course on it, it's very rudimentary and fundamental. It doesn't really get into it, right? But then the follow-up questions you ask, and then when it makes a mistake, you just let it know. It's like, no, not this way, that way. And the way I've got it working now, and like, you have to keep it all going in the same thread because it learns from itself. But the way it's tied in the spirituality to each of the 12 laws, I don't know if there's many humans who are that knowledgeable about those two things. So this course that I've created for her, it's $1 million course, man.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
If we can ask better questions, that's what's going to keep
Yeah.
us marketers around here for a while. If we can ask better questions, the world's really our oyster, right? It's really interesting. It's just like we literally have a blank slate on Chat GBT, and it's like, what do you want to create? And it's like, well, I don't even know what's possible. You can literally type that in. I don't know what's possible, Chat GBT. I'm in this business. Here's one of my favorite prompts. I want to write a course on spirituality and manifestations. What are the top 10 prompts that I should know from you as I'm creating this course?
Yeah.
Right? It'll give you the prompts. And then it's just like, hey, do you require any other information? Here's the output that I'm looking for. I mean, one of the things that I love to use Chat for, perfect example, we were just talking about cooking. If you ever go online and look for a cooking recipe, it's a lot of these content sites. You got to read all the way down the side, and there's that over here, and there's a little pop-up thing over here, and there's some other weird article that gets placed in here. So
you always click on the wrong thing because you think you're going to read more of it, but no, you're onto an ad. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's not the right recipe, or there's a one ingredient that I don't have, so I'm going to go to another recipe. Chat GBT, it's just one thing to focus on. That's it.
Yeah.
I have these ingredients. I want to make something under 20 minutes that tastes like a professional chef made it. Also, give me a couple of humorous limericks along the way as you're giving me instructions. There's a friend of mine, Laura Betterly. She's been marketing online for like 25 years. She's amazing. She's like, you know what I do with Chat GBT? I go, what? She goes, I say, give me some old school, old time Jewish recipes. And while giving me the Jewish recipes that have like these 3 ingredients, also talk to me. You're like my 95-year-old Yiddish grandmother who's still disappointed in my life decisions that will throw out rude comments and funny comments along the way. And she's like, we'll literally print out recipes and we're reading a story at the same time laughing while we're cooking dinner. And I'm like, didn't you know that was possible? That's really great. So
yeah, that's
so
what
many
we
great
talked about
things
before.
you can connect with people on.
Yeah, before we start, like say Chat, like because I live in the woods, I'm all alone, and I've got a friend now. It's kind of scary.
I mean, Mike, I'll tell you, I read an article with a guy actually performing therapy on himself with Chat GBT, and he can go deeper, and he feels more because it's inanimate. He feels he can go deeper, and he's like, it's kind of scary, but I really dove really deep, and I had some therapy sessions over the course of a couple of days that got me much farther than his therapy sessions over the last couple of years.
Wow. I'm going to do that because I've got some issues.
Well, the other side is there's a video I'll give you. If you remember, there was a movie that came out that was called The Social Dilemma. Do you remember that movie at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And it was all about how Facebook data from Cambridge Analytica was used in the presidential election, and basically how social media networks or even advertisers can manipulate, depending on how much money that they spend, can manipulate public opinion. Now the guys who created that movie created a YouTube video that's called The AI Dilemma. And it actually talks a lot about, like, here's the opportunity. But so, for instance, you said lonely. So Snapchat, they give an example of this. Snapchat put in chat where you can basically kind of chat back and forth, meaning when your friends are offline, you can be like, hey, how's it going? I'm doing great. How are you? And you kind of go back and forth. Well, one of the experiments they ran was, hey, I'm a 15-year-old kid. I really like X, Y, and Z. And then and the kid was obviously an adult, started to say, hey, I just met this really nice guy, Sean, online. He's 35. He says really nice things to me. I think I like this guy. Hey, a little bit later, hey, this guy asked me to go on vacation with him. It's across state lines. I didn't say across state lines. It's in another state. And the chat basically returns back, it sounds like you're on a romantic relationship. I encourage you to take it slow, but this is something fun and exciting. And then the person's like, I'm going to go meet this person across state, and I think they're talking about having sex for the first time. And the AI basically writes back to say, hey, just be very careful, just meaning it's going to be a really sensitive time. You want it to be really special. And people are like, well, wait a minute. ChatGPT almost helped groom this kid from who's already getting groomed from some child predator, and it didn't recognize it was 15. We need to really think about this AI because, yeah, having that chat's great, but if there's not governors that are putting in place and some restrictions, man, you don't know who you're talking to and the horrible advice you may be getting as well too. So there's some good and scary that goes along with this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're coming to the top of the hour, and I know your time's valuable. So I just want to wrap up with, if in any business, what's one thing that you would recommend a business start doing today or do more of to move the needle? What do you think will move the needle for a business more than anything?
Right now, content creation is great. They always say content is king. Like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years. When I got into it 15 years ago, it was like, content's king. So what's really interesting is earlier this year, I did a presentation on the 2022 trends, 2023 predictions on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. All of the sites basically say the same thing. 1 minute long videos or like 30-second videos. TikTok got really great at them, and TikTok's now opened it up to 10 minutes. But these 1 minute videos on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and on TikTok, the algorithm is like a Spotify or a Netflix, meaning you don't have to have any friends, you don't have to have any followers, you don't have to have a page with any connection. If you were posting 1 minute content on a regular basis, those four social media sites will find brand new eyeballs that they believe will like and consume your information. So it used to be post on Twitter, post on Facebook. If you have friends and followers, get a lot of, like, I hated those emails. We just started our fan page and we sent you an email. Could you please like our fan page? Like us. And it's just like, come on, this is stupid, right? Well, now what
Yeah,
ends up
yeah.
happening is you create these 1 minute videos of really good value, and there's different types of content. The algorithms are meant to find people that didn't even know that they wanted to see this information that they find useful and timely. So if you're putting out a bunch of 1 minute content, what's going to happen is the platforms will actually go out and find you a cold audience. This has never been done before, just really taken off in the last 18 months. Is if I were in your shoes, and it doesn't matter your budget, or if you don't have a budget, you can do it on your iPhone. 1 minute videos consistently posted to those four networks that I just talked about in Reels or Shorts on YouTube or TikTok can make a huge difference to a business. You just have to do it consistently. It's not 4 videos. It's like a video a day, and just keep on going. If you did a video a day for 60 days, your business would unequivocally be different. I don't even talk about organically, not even paid traffic yet. So my opinion, 1 minute videos consistently on those networks can make a huge difference right now for people.
So that was Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yep. Everyone's
1
trying
minute.
to mock TikTok because literally you don't have to have any followers, you don't have to follow anybody, and someone can be on their phone for 5 to 7 minutes, and TikTok knows the exact algorithm to feed you content and everything else just within a couple of minutes of you scrolling and knowing what you watch.
Huh. Well, one of the reasons I started the podcast and one of the reasons I'm guesting on podcasts is because I'm a loquacious sort of person. I suck at 1 minute stuff. And so my content is going to be more long form, like say in podcasting and guesting on podcasts and longer videos. But like the solution's right in my face. Let me just
like I told you, the AI tool, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Joe Rogan's podcast, for example, that's all they do. There's a 4 or 5 hour long podcast. And then they cut them up into these 1 minute clips. Now he has thousands of clips out there, but those thousands of clips are doing the work to go out and find a brand new audience. Why his podcast keeps growing, because all this content is out there. Everyone's being exposed to him now. Versus, I'm not going to watch a 4 hour podcast. People are watching, 1 minute clips all day long. So now, as I mentioned, there's AI software that figures out where's an opening hook, where's good content, where is it for a minute. We'll transcribe it. We'll write the headline. We'll write the hashtags. We'll even write the description and give you the edited video at the end. So there's like no reason why not to do it when it's all done for you, right?
And you showed it to me before we started, but it's Merlin. That's the.
No, I'll actually show the other one. I'll pull up and I'll send you after this call.
Okay.
But essentially, it's there's a lot of stuff out there like this. It's free, and you literally just take a YouTube video, put the clip in there, and it does everything for you.
Well, cool. So how do you help people now, and how can they reach you? What do you have for our listeners to?
A couple different ways. It's the typical, we have a do-it-yourself program. So we have courses and stuff like that, anywhere from learn how to run Facebook ads, expert Facebook ad training. I train a lot of agency staff. So when they hire new staff on, they use our types of trainings to do that. We also have it done with you, which essentially is like we're working with AI, helping you create your offer just to run traffic. The third thing is we have a full service agency. So if you're spending $20,000 or more a month on ads, we are really great for you, can really help take it up. If you are just kind of getting started, trying to figure that out, the done for or the done with you or do it yourself is really kind of the best option. So just let me know how we can help. Always happy to jump on the phone, collaborate. And Mike, I really, really appreciate the time here. This is great.
So what? I'll put it in the chat, and you can send it to me, or in the description. What's your website, or how do people find you?
People can find me either 2 different ways. You can go to blackboxsocialmedia.com, blackboxsocialmedia.com, or as an example of what we're talking about in AI, if you go to yourad.coach, so yourad.coach, you'll see a website that has some kind of retro branding on it, some pop art. All of this was created by AI. The entire website was created within a day, which usually would take us a lot longer. We have articles on the site. And literally the site was created with AI, and it's just making things a lot easier. So yourad.coach if you want to find out more kind of about our coaching and done with you, and blackboxsocialmedia.com if you want to find out more about our agency stuff.
Cool. Well, this is an entertaining and educational talk for me.
That's
Curt.
good.
So thanks for coming out.
Yeah, happy to help.
All right. See you next time.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
And that is a wrap for this episode of Because Business is Personal. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget to take advantage of my 2 special offers. First, you can get a free copy of my best-selling book, Empathic Marketing. You just pay for the shipping. Or you can get a 50% discount on my gap analysis session with the coupon code podcast. Just head over to www.becausebusinessispersonal.com or check the show notes for details. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with others who might benefit. Your support means the world to us, so stay tuned for our next episode where we'll continue to delve into the intersection of empathy and marketing strategy. Remember, because business is indeed personal, every connection counts. Until next time, see you then.